The following presentation is brought to you by the RELM Network.
It's right about time again to swerve again, confuse the general fans again. Add another swerve.
We have a special free video conversation for you today that Vince Russo had with Kevin Nash. My name is Jeff Lane, and you may have seen or heard me co-host with Vince on the RELM Network and PodcastOne. But I do many things here at russosbrand.com behind the scenes, and one of those is editing. So I was tasked with taking this 2.5-hour Kevin Nash video interview and trimming it down to 2 one-hour episodes. The problem was there was nothing that was boring or easy to cut, especially when 30 minutes had to go. And it's Kevin Nash, so I'm sure if it was a 10-hour conversation, there wouldn't be anything we could do without hearing. So with that said, we decided to take the first 30 minutes and make it a free video here on russosbrand.com and our YouTube channel. So the following portion, this 30 minutes, will not be seen or heard anywhere else. You will get a taste of what we do weekly with our video interviews on the RELM Network. There will be 2 more hours of Kevin and Vince that will air on video for the RELM Network VIPs, and it will air a day earlier than you will hear the audio on PodcastOne. Again, the following 30-minute video interview with Kevin Nash and Vince Russo will not be seen or heard anywhere else besides this video. So here's an additional 30 minutes of Kevin Nash, and after viewing, please check out all of our VIP videos at russosbrand.com. Enjoy.
Bro, listen, I was going through your Wikipedia today, Kevin. Bro, I did not realize I knew a lot of things you were in. I did not realize the extent of your acting work. So, like, bro, when you talk about somebody always wanting more, like, what haven't you done that you want to do?
Godfather 5. The reboot. I want to be Brando. I don't know.
Bro, I can't believe that there's something that you have not accomplished in your life. Is there like a secret that maybe only Kevin Nash knows about that you still want to conquer and you still want to accomplish and you haven't yet? I mean, bro, you've done it all. An Academy Award, maybe? What about that?
Yeah, I guess maybe that's it. I don't know. Maybe I would be more impressed with a SAG award than an Academy Award, because that would be my peers.
Hey, Kevin, has your acting career been more rewarding to you than your wrestling career?
No. I mean, people that see me, 90% of the people, 95% of the people that see me that recognize me from my wrestling career. But it's always nice, though, that like a young kid got on the plane about a month ago, and he walked up to me and he's like, you're, and I was going to say, Kevin Nash, wrestler. He goes, you're Englehart from Longest Yard.
Wow.
And those are another time I was coming out of a liquor store in Albany, New York, went and got a bottle of wine. The guy said, hey, you're that, I'm ready to help him out. He goes, that actor dude. So to me, but my whole thing was like, my bucket list was to do one movie. And when I did Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, and I sat, in the movie theater and I watched my name on the credits, it was like, check. So, I mean...
But did you get the bug from there, Kevin? I mean, did you pursue more, or did more just come your way?
During the Turner years, the money was so good. Like, I was offered Sabretooth for X-Men, but they offered me $75,000 for a 16-week shoot. And I was making that every 2 weeks, so it was like, it wasn't even feasible to go after that. And then finally, as I got older, I had my neck surgery, and then they came at me with the Punisher, and they said, part's yours if you cut your hair. So I said, yeah, okay, I'll cut my hair. So, I mean, the Magic Mike thing is completely, I'm flabbergasted to this day on being called by Soderbergh's casting agent to do those 2 films.
Yeah. Kevin, I want to back up, bro. Listen, I have so many things I want to ask you. I want to come clean with you about something, Kevin. I've never told you this. And I want to be completely honest with you because I want to see if you could figure out why. If you can give me an answer to this. Kevin, this is the God honest truth. I don't know if you realize this, but you and I both crossed paths for the first time, bro, in 1991. I had a little show on the radio in Long Island, New York, and I requested Vinny Vegas to be the first guest on my show, and you answered the bell, and you came on my show in 1991. From there, obviously, we worked together again at WWE, starting in 1994. WCW, we worked together a short time. TNA. Kevin, I got to tell you this, bro, because this boggles my mind. There wasn't a moment in my relationship with you, bro, where you were rude, nasty, mean, nothing, not one moment. But Kevin, you want to hear something really weird? Bro, I have always, and I don't know why. Bro, I've always been intimidated by you, Kevin. Always. Oh, bro, I had Goldberg in my face once, like snorting like a bull. He wanted to fight me. He wanted to rip my head off. Bro, I wasn't even intimidated or afraid. Kevin, every time I was in your presence, and even though we were friends and you were always nice to me, there was never an issue. Bro, I always felt intimidated by you, and I never understood why. Why do you think that was?
Because there's nothing more intimidating than intelligence.
Yeah, bro, I think that's what it is. Now, are you serious when you say that? Because I think that, I think it was the combination of the physical and the brain that just intimidated the crap out of me, bro.
See, you're really smart too. So you're a very intelligent man. So when 2 civilized men get together and we're friends, so that it takes the physicality out of it. I've never said anything to you in a mean sense or said like, oh, that when you take that off the floor, then it's just you and I going back and forth. But you and I were always on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe we're too alike.
I'm not, Kevin, we're not. Kevin, I'm a simpleton. What I know about you, Kevin, and this floors me, bro. And I'll tell you why. Bro, you know a little bit about everything. Not me, bro. If I'm not interested in something, I don't want to know about it. And bro, to know a little bit about everything and be able to have a conversation about everything, to me, that's intelligence on a whole different level. I don't have that. Bro, I can't sit down with you and have a conversation about politics. You could talk to me about politics, and in the next sentence, you're schooling me about the environment. That's a level of intelligence I do not have, bro.
I disagree, but
Nah, Kevin. I'm simple. I'm a simpleton from Brooklyn, Kevin.
Okay. Well, I'm not saying that I'm like a genius, though my IQ says I am, but it's just.
You see, that's what I'm saying, bro. Right there. There you go. That's what I mean. Kevin, I want to ask you something, bro, and I want to ask some questions about you. Because the things I'm really interested about, Kevin, I know nothing about. I know a lot about the wrestling history, so like that doesn't interest me. Now that I have you, bro, it is what, 2:00 in the morning by you. Now that it's me and Kevin Nash and a bottle of wine at 2:00 in the morning.
Right.
I want to get down to some questions about you. I really want to ask that I'm so interested in, bro.
Sure.
Now, Kevin, I know your dad passed away at a very early age. I think he was 36, and
Correct.
You were 8 years old, right?
Correct. Yes.
Now, Kevin, he had a massive heart attack, correct?
Yes.
Now, Kevin, did that come out of nowhere? I mean, or was he sick? Did he have heart problems? Or was this out of nowhere?
completely out of nowhere. I mean, you have to realize that cardiac care in the mid to early 60s was pretty much non-existent. And I remember my father having like real bad indigestion in Cleveland at my uncle's house, and him going to the hospital, and then him being, diagnosed with indigestion. Well, my dad finally passed away. It was weird too, because like the day that my dad passed away, my dad never took us to school, but he took me and my brother to school that day. And then he went to work, and he was a little bit late to work. And it was before lunch, the principal came and got me. And I was in third grade, and my brother was in fifth. And I looked down the long hallway in the elementary school, and I saw somebody pulling my brother out of his class. So I'm looking down at just like, and the principal saying, "You got to be strong. You got to be strong." And so me and my brother walk down. We go downstairs. We go out back, and my dad's boss and our neighbor Jim Pallas was in the car, and they were just saying, and of all things, my brother's 10 years old. And they're telling my brother over and over again, I can remember it like it's yesterday, like, "You're the man of the house now. You're the man of the house now." And, we came home, and my mom was dressed in black with a veil on. And we walked to the front door, and she was standing there. Dad died. And, the first dead body I ever saw was my father's. I walked into the funeral hall, and like, because he was he was a supervisor, so I knew there was going to be people that were going to show up. So he was in like the biggest of the three rooms, and when you walk into the front, there's double doors, and you look down the corridor, and you see the silhouette of your dad's face in a casket, and we kind of jogged down there, and my Uncle Chuck picked me up and put me on the casket, and I put my hands to my dad's chest, and I could feel that giant Y autopsy scar, where they just basically just, tear you open and just kind of sew you back together. And, but I found out later that, like, when they did the autopsy, that was my dad's fifth heart attack.
Holy crap. I mean, and he did not know about the other four?
No. It was always diagnosed as indigestion.
Jeez. Kevin, listen, so you're an 8-year-old kid. Now, Kevin, you have to, I would believe, I can't imagine, but I want to get a sense of you and how you became the man that you became to be. I would think at 8 years old, Kevin, you would have to think you were robbed. I was robbed of my dad. They took my dad from me. I'm only 8 years old. Is that something you dealt with, or did you have to, Kevin, kind of black it out to not have to think about it and go through that emotion?
The first night that my dad died, April 4th, 1968. So when I came home that night, I went to the back bedroom, and we had all the people, bringing over the casseroles and all that shit. And I went to the back bedroom, and I turned on the black and white little, the small little TV, the portable TV. And it was like breaking news that Martin Luther King had been shot and killed.
Wow.
So it was to me, it was just wow, immediately I identified with those kids, his kids.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, their dad died today. So, and I've always had a kindred love for Martin Luther King, because he shared the same death date with my dad, whatever you want to call it. But it was just, I don't know, but I had such a good relationship with my dad that even at 8 years old, I got, my brother got that, the whole you're ahead of the family now at 10 years old, which I think just really fucked him up. My sister was too young really to remember him, or the post-traumatic stress or whatever just didn't allow her to remember her father. Where I was, every day I brought my dad's slippers to him, and I sat in his lap every night after dinner. So I had a really good relationship with my dad. So I didn't feel like I didn't have any kind of psychological problem from it. It was just something that was dealt to me, and it was just, my mom was so strong. A lot of people don't know my mom's story. My mom grew up in Kentucky, and outside of Paducah, and her mother and her father told the kids they were going to the store, and they had my mom had 5 siblings, and they went to the store and they never came back. So my Uncle Glenn, who was the oldest of the siblings, who was 14, tried to keep the family together. But all of a sudden, kids aren't going to school. And back then, there was actually truant officers. Mm-hmm. And they basically finally came and took my Uncle Glenn ran, but they took the other 4 kids and put them in an orphanage. And my mom was the last one to be adopted. And she basically ran away from there at 16 and hitchhiked and found her way to my aunt and uncle's house in Detroit. They were rough on her. She was working as a car hop. They took every dime she made. She left there, found a lady named Mimi that taught ladies how to type and do shorthand. And she lived there for 2 years and learned it. And when she turned 18, she got a job at Ford as a secretary. My dad was the big boss. He walked through. My mom looked like Elizabeth Taylor. I mean, she was just had a 19-inch waist and a 36-inch bust, and he was just like, "Who's that?" He said, "It's the new girl." And he came by the next day and he said, "Where do you live?" And she said, he goes, "Oh, I go right by there every day." It was 45 minutes out of my dad's way.
Yeah.
And very Nash.
Yeah, very Nash. Very Nash.
So he brought her a sandwich every day, and they ended up getting married. And for my mom, it was like her knight in shining armor. And then she's married at 18, and at 28, her husband has a heart attack and leaves her with a 10, an 8, and a 4-year-old. So. She was tough though. She just did the no-sell.
Now, Kevin, at 8 years old, now does a dominant male figure step into your life, or does 8-year-old Kevin Nash have to grow up in a hurry now on his own?
Well, I mean, my dad dies, and then shortly after that, we have the Detroit race riots. So, the city's being burnt down, and we're kind of, me and my brother pretty much we're the front line in case anybody comes on the lawn. Mm-hmm. And, which, but my mom got remarried a couple years later to a really great guy, Al McDonald, and he took us under his wing, and, he was, I call him Dad. I was blessed, in that. I mean, I could have got, an abusive, asshole father for the second time around, but, I got a good guy, so.
Yeah. Kevin, did you wind up growing up, because, bro, I'm sure you went through, everybody thought you were a lot older than you were because of your size, right?
Yeah. A lot of people, and my son did the same thing where, my son was 2.5 years old, but he was the size of a 5-year-old. And this little girl came up to him and pushed him in a Macy's, and he hit her with a double arm shiver. and like knocked her off her feet and on her ass and into the clothes. And the lady looked at him and looked at my wife and looked at me like, control your mentally challenged child. And we're like, he's not 3 yet.
Yeah.
I mean, so, I'd go to the movie theater and I'd have to bring my school ID to pay for, a child's fare. And I was 10.
So, Kevin, did that lead into a lot, bro, I'm sure that led into a lot of fights. Did that lead into a lot of trouble that probably shouldn't have happened?
I fought from first grade. I mean, I fought so much as a kid. And I was so tall, but I was so thin. But I'd go against anybody. I would just go. I didn't care.
Yeah. And,
if you beat my ass, then I'd knock on your door the next day and you'd have to beat it again.
Yeah.
I was that kid. Like if you're gonna beat my ass, you're gonna beat it 30 straight days. Sooner or later, I'm gonna get lucky. I'm gonna figure out a way to beat your ass.
Yeah. Well, Kevin, there also though, let's talk about this because there had to be some frills to that because the older girls probably thought Kevin Nash was older than he was. So was there a lot of older women back then? Kevin, I got to ask you this. Can I ask you a real personal question?
Sure.
Kevin, I'm going to come clean to you for Kevin. I've never said this on the air before. I feel like I could open. I feel like this is Uncle Kevin with his bottle of wine, and you just told me some very deep things about your family. Kevin, you want to know the truth about Vince Russo? Sure. Kevin, I did not lose my virginity until I went to college. And why I lost it in college was because I got raped by a hoe. Literally raped me. Kevin, honestly, I'm 55 years old, Kevin. I've been with 3 women in my life. Now, the reason why I asked you this question is because now I expect you to tell me how old were you when you lost your virginity and how much older was the girl than you?
I was probably 12 and 17.
And she was 17.
Yeah.
Wow. So Kevin, me holding off till college wasn't noble. I should have kind of been banging when I was 12. Is that what you?
But at the same time, like I remember I was at a party. I played. Number one, I played varsity basketball as a freshman.
Yeah.
And I was 6'8".
Jeez.
So it's just like. That's back in those days where it's. You're on varsity, then you're. I had a junior girlfriend.
So the girls were always a little older because of your size.
Yeah.
Kevin, what was the most trouble you got into growing up? I mean, did you ever get into like any real trouble, the law trouble? I mean, were there any instances like that, or was it kids fight? I mean, that stuff happens. But did you ever get in any trouble growing up?
Never got arrested while I was a juvenile, but did a lot of shit, and we were jumping fences with the cops on our tails.
Right.
I mean, we did one time. We went on one of our neighbors' roofs that were kind of give us a hard time, and we threw smoke bombs down their chimney.
Uh-huh.
And they came out, and they came out the back where the ladder was. We jumped off in the bushes in the front and ran down to our house, leaving the ladder that said Robert Nash on the side.
You didn't think that one through, did you?
Not too well. You're 10,
Bro, I just think it's hysterical. You're lugging a ladder around with you to throw smoke bombs down a chimney. Why didn't you just toss them up there?
It was one of those deals where it's like, man, it was just a full-on assault.
Yeah.
We wanted to make sure that every one of them. Another time, there was this corner that was like a bend. It was the street was called Ponderosa, and they had this big hedge, and right above it was a street light. So one of my friends had a Benjamin air rifle, which is equivalent of 22. So it took about 2 or 3 shots. We knocked the street light out, and they were building across the way. So we took cinder blocks and put them 4 high across the road on this bend, and people would go around this bend about 30 miles an hour. So, like, they'd come around the corner and they'd hit this cinder block wall, which would crumble, but you could just hear them just dragging underneath their car doing damage. They'd park and come after us. We'd always have a guy throwing eggs. So the guy would throw eggs at them, and then when they would we'd be like, I can't believe this asshole's throwing eggs. And then at the end of the hedges, we had 3 of us with BB guns.
Bro, it sounds like the game Mousetrap.
So we throw like Bruce, my buddy Bruce, would throw the eggs, and then they'd come down into a crossfire. A BB gun.
Just another Saturday night in the Nash neighborhood.
What the hell, man?
Hey, Kevin, let me ask you this. I know you got a son, Tristan, now. Bro, what is he, 20 now?
He'll be 20 in June.
Kevin, being that you lost your father at 8, and you really didn't have, the upbringing of a father there for your entire life, did that make it difficult for you to be a father? Like, because, bro, I would think if I lose my father at 8 years old, and now all of a sudden I have a child and I didn't have my father as a reference point, was that difficult for you as part of a fatherhood?
I would say this, that I was probably the world's greatest father up until my son was 8, 9. And then I just didn't really have, I didn't have that Rolodex of what to do.
Right.
Like moving forward, so it was difficult, Yeah. But I've always said my son's really, he's a really intelligent kid. He's I think he's 179 IQ or something like that. He's off the charts, and he's a musician. Like, it's just like we're such a yin and yang. Like, I'm such a physical, go to the gym, bang my head off the wall guy. And he's more, he reads, writes poetry, writes music. He's like any other 19-year-old. Of course, he's online playing video games, 24/7. But my whole thing is to him, as I just told him, I said, just make sure because I just love this society we have now where they grab your kid at 16 and they want him to declare basically what he wants to do in life.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It's like, you need to be in the IP programs, you need to do this, and you need to do that, and 2 years into this, you can already have 8 college credits, and it's just like, well, wait a minute, man, maybe I want to be a welder. But those things, they don't come across.